welcome to Gulfstream today in beautiful Gulfstream Park. Ronald Nicoletti, I forgot my name there for a second with Acacia Court.
It happens to all of us.
We got a beautiful day in South Florida, fast main track, firm turf course. We got 8 races we want to tell you about, and it's going to be a fun day today. Yesterday, a lot of fun races, and we're coming right back. We had 9 yesterday, 8 today, so want to show you those wages because things change when it's an 8-race card. Of course, every day we started off with the rolling super high 5, 7 horses or more, so we do have that in today's first race. And then we have early pick 5 this afternoon, and in case you will have a ticket to show you in just a couple of moments. And then, of course, in race number 3 today, the Rainbow 6 starts over about $7,500 in that pool. I'll show you my ticket when that race comes about. And then we're going to end the day with the final pick 5 on the card. And that occasion will have another ticket to show you there. So we're going to put ourselves on the limb, and let's hope we can help somebody get some extra money today.
Yeah, absolutely. You have several opportunities to get on in there. If you miss the early pick 5, you can hit the later pick 5, and you can do the Rainbow 6 and all sorts of other things. We've got something for everyone.
Yeah, and of course, always win, play, show, and you know all that stuff, exact, the trifecta.
All that good stuff.
Yeah, every day. So let's get right to our first race this afternoon. It's 7.5 furlongs on the turf. Claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 races in life, $10,000. We do have one jockey change in here, and that comes on the number 5. Please make the rider apprentice John Cruz. And as Acacia and I promised, we will show you her early pick 5 ticket right now.
Yes, only 8 races today, and as I mentioned, I'll have an early pick 5 and a late pick 5, so a very affordable $24 for the early pick 5. I went 2 deep in the first 4 legs and then 3 deep in the final. So, as I said, very affordable, and you can always play with that a little bit, and there is some overlap as the late pick 5 starts in race number 4, but 2 deep in the first 4 legs and 3 in the last.
Well, I'm glad you have one of my 2 picks on your ticket, your early ticket, and that's the number 3 pillowcase. And this one is stepping up to face winners after circling the field to defeat 12-5 maidens going a mile last time out. It is Dane Kobisky. He is the trainer. Tyler Gaffalione going for 2 in a row. And all things being equal, and they certainly are in this race, we're going, both of us, with that recent maiden winner.
Yeah, it really looks like Pillowcase is the one to beat here in this race. I was impressed with that maiden win last time out. Finished second, his first time on the her first time on the turf, 2 back. She tried the dirt in her debut, bumped at the start, didn't really like the dirt so much. The turf really seems to be where she likes to be, and coming off that good victory should be one to beat.
And then both of us in second have that New York, I could say it like that, New York Jackie, because I'm a New Yorker. Yeah. Should have the screws tightened today after returning from a 5-month layoff to track the pace. Weekend late, was beaten 2.5 lengths at the same level and distance. The trainer is Juan A. Rodriguez, and he's got Marco Menendez in the saddle this afternoon. I thought after that, second off the bench, why wouldn't this horse run well today?
Yeah, I was excited when I got here and you said coffee like I do.
Yeah, right.
Coffee like that. So New Yorker, yeah. But same thing, second off the bench, 5-month layoff, ran on November 12th, came back on April 29th, went back from the dirt to the turf, finished a strong 4th last time out. Also, this will be the 3rd start in a row with blinkers. Took the blinkers off a few back, put them back on. Seems to like running with them better.
Well, you have the 7 on your ticket, I believe, on your early pick 5 ticket.
I do. I have the 7, Susie's Pride of Paris, 10-1 on the morning line, 9-1 right now on the board. A little bit of a long shot here in my top 3. I think you can kind of cross off her last 2 starts. Those were both at 7.5 furlongs on the turf, which is what she'll run today. But she broke from post 14 last time out. She had a wide trip. The start before that, she broke from the rail. So both of those, she had trouble trips because of that. If you go back to March 25th of 2015 here at Gulfstream. The last time she ran 7.5 furlongs, that was a 1.5-length victory. So I think you can cross up those other 7.5 races and look at that other one and think that she might get a better trip today.
And you get a really square price currently on the board. Very early in the wagering, up there at 8-1. The current 5-2 tepid favorite is Pillowcase. The horse that I closed it out with was the 4 Valcata. This one is taking a big drop on the competition scale after getting beat double-digit lengths versus considerably tough Tupper before the layoff. So coming back today for Antonio Sano, Emisiel Jaramillo atop his daughter Fleet Alex. But you have to admit, it's a bit of a guess because, didn't show much before the layoff. Takes a big drop coming back, but I respect the connections. So we'll see how this horse runs. I believe it's fourth choice on the morning line. So we'll see off the layoff. And always good to know to see if this a horse like this is taking some early money in there. Right now, 7-1. You watch the board. Maybe you make that decision a little later on.
For sure, and sometimes that drop is all those horses need.
Yeah, let's go to race number 2 this afternoon. It's a 1-mile turf event. It's a claimers, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 3 in life or 3-year-olds, and we have 8 runners in this field. And the horse that we both put on top of our ticket here is the number 2 horse, and that is Responsive.
Yeah, Responsive was my top selection going off these last couple of races, especially. She's been in the money several times, especially recently, and even when she's not, she's only beaten by pretty slim margins. 2 back, she had a 3-length victory running the mile in the 16th, came back, finished 3rd. Last time out in a non-winners of 3, it was beaten only by 3 lengths.
Well, I know there's a horse that you have some interest in here that I did not use on my ticket, and that's the 8 Moise, and I want to see the reasoning. I know you have a spotlight you want to show.
We do. We have a video to show you of Moise in her most recent race. That was on April 20th. She's right there, the number 8. She pulls away, starts to pull away, and gets out front. As they're rounding the final turn, she duels a little bit, but it's when she really has that kick and she pulls away. This was her first time on the turf, as I mentioned. She's 2 for 9 in lifetime starts. Some horses are trying to battle with her, but she just seems so comfortable there. And I wanted to go back and show this race because she is able to pull away like that so easily. She ran a mile on the turf. She'd been running at the 6 furlongs, 5 furlongs for the start of her career. She actually debuted on the turf back at the 5 furlongs, but this was her first time running a mile on the turf. And that's where she really just seemed most comfortable. She does have that early speed as well, which I think will be key in this race.
Yeah, I mean, she just looks like she really liked the surface switch in that particular race. The horse that I used in second was the 5 Angel of Love. This one moved to the Jessica Campitelli barn via the claim after getting nipped at the wire. It was a repeat winner called Summers back at this level and distance last time out. I thought that was a pretty good race, and this horse ran pretty well. Changing barns this afternoon, so Jessica Campitelli pretty solid with first off the claim. Just got a bug in my eye. This one ran against Summers back, who was a hard-knocking campaigner all throughout the winter meeting here. So I used that one on my ticket, and we both have the number 4 Image of Rachel.
Yeah, Image of Rachel, the last win that she had, she's 2 for 45 in lifetime starts. Her last win was actually on the dirt, but she does have a win on the turf as well. But looking at her past few races, she's been right there in the money, several seconds and a couple of thirds, so she's always right there.
Yeah, I put in my analysis, she belongs somewhere on the exacta trifecta ticket.
Yeah.
Just didn't have enough confidence to put her any higher in third, and I guess you had the same feelings as I did because we both used number 4, Image of Rachel, in third on our ticket. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the Rainbow 6 this afternoon. We're back from that very short break. It's one of the shortest breaks you'll ever see in television. Third race, very excited because it's a 4.5 furlong maiden special weight race for 2-year-olds. We do have 2 scratches in here of number 2 Skinflint and number 4 Lifelong Dreamer. So opens up the race a little bit. Maybe looks a first time starter, one of the first time starting here, look a little better because those are 2 of the major contenders in this race. And it's easy to say that major contenders, they're all first time starters, so it's really hard to gauge who was the major contender in there. With all that said, let's show you my Rainbow 6 ticket this afternoon. And I went with 3 deep in here, 3, 5, and 6. And I just thought I'd go as deep as I could in this particular race because they are 2-year-old first-time starters. But you see in the next race, there's my single today, and that is the number 4 horse, Dolce Arabe, which we will talk about when we get to race number 4. 3 deep, 2, and then I ended it with 4 deep in the last race, $43.20. We have about $7,500 in the Rainbow 6 pool, and we've got got up to over $20,000 yesterday.
Oh, sure. I expect there to be a lot more in there. But, I got to tell you, Ron, I love these first-time starter races. It's so fun to try and figure out. It can be a nightmare for some people, I'm sure, trying to figure out, especially when you're trying to bet it. But when you're looking back and you can really go deep in some of the pedigree analysis and stuff like that, it's certainly fun. And it looks like we both have the same horse on top, which is the 3 Down in the Holler. Mark Casse trains, Tyler Gaffleone aboard. Certainly some live connections for this horse here. This horse is by Brooks and Down and out of the Tabasco Catmare Sexy Stockings. He's actually a half to Grande Shores, who we'll see running later on this week as well, and also a half to Jackson Bend, who earned quite a bit of money, a very accomplished stakes horse as well.
Yeah, $1.8 million, and also, as you mentioned, Grand Shores, also Southern Barbecue debuting from Mark Casse. So this line, wins a lot of races, and more importantly, a lot of these horses that we just mentioned, Jackson Bend, Grand Shores, and especially Southern Barbecue have all won as 2-year-olds.
Yes.
So there is some, they're precocious when they're early. This line of runners. So the horse I used in second here was the 5 Muggs Amatic, and this one is the son of Any Given Saturday. It's a half brother to a horse called My Brown-Eyed Guy, who won both the Affirmed and Dr. Fega divisions of the Florida Steyer Stakes at age 2. So there is a reason to believe that this will run well. Kathleen O'Connell is the trainer. Can't go wrong with Kathleen O'Connor with 2-year-olds. You did go to Francisco Appeal on the outside for your second pick.
I did. I went for, this is my second pick, Larry Pilati trained. If you look at the work tab for this horse, this is really what appealed to me. Really sharp, especially the last couple races. Ran May 7th, 4 furlongs, 48 and 3 furlongs prior to that, and April 30th ran 35 and 2, breaking from the gate. This is also a full brother to the graded stakes place, The Truth and KG, so certainly some good pedigree there for Francesco Appeal.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's what you sort of got to go on when you're doing with these two-year-old first-time starters. You got to look for breeding, got to look for bonds that get 2-year-olds ready early, and thus we both probably using number 6 Draft Beer on a ticket. I don't know if in case you used it because of the name, Draft Beer, or I know that Brad upstairs wanted us to pick this horse. This one from trainer Dane Kubinski, easy for me to say. Skinflint was also trained by Dane Kubinski, and they scratched that horse and let this horse win. And they've done that already and won with a 2-year-old at this meeting.
Yeah, that was actually a big reason for me putting this horse on there as well. Also, this is the third foal from Tapazar, so kind of exciting to see that. Tapazar's only had 2 foals running so far. He's had one that finished second, one that finished 6th. Of course, the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile winner among others, so exciting to see him there. And also a little bit of a note on pedigree while we're talking about it. I have to give a quick mention to the 8 Little Nappy, who is only the second foal of Shackelford, Preakness winner, one of my favorite horses.
Yeah, so lots of different ways to go in here, and going back to Draft Beer, 3 really nice works at Payson Park, and Payson Park traditionally known as a deeper track that legs the horses up nicely. So Dane Kubinski having a lot of success with his 2-year-old runners that have been training up there in Indiantown. So race number 4 this afternoon is a 1 mile and 1/16 turf event. And this one is an allowance optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, $25,000. And I think you have a pick 5 in this race again. So let's start with that.
I do. Showed you already. My early pick 5 here is the late pick 5, races 4 to 8. A little bit more expensive here. I went $36 and also went a little bit deeper. Of course, there is some overlap with the early pick 5, but I went 4-3-3, had my single in race number 7. I really tried to find a single here in this race, so I ended up singling the 8-horse Cult Classic, who we'll talk about later, and then I went 2 deep in the final race.
Well, it always happens when I have a best bet and I single it. Acacia puts 4 horses on the ticket there. So this was my single, and she thought she had to go 4 deep in here. So the horse that I told you earlier that I singled in here, number 4, Dolce Arabe, we're going to go back and show you this horse's performance. And this is going to pick it up, turn it for home to the wire. And you'll see this horse here in between horses, really looking for a place to get out and run. And, Dolce Arabe, I just thought was stuck in a place where it had to, find a place. You see it, it's the 8-horse there, and it just comes running late, and I thought this horse ran really, really well, and here's why I like this horse today. This was the first start in North America and first start off an 18-month layoff. Oh, did I mention it's been trained by Todd Pletcher, and he's doing a fantastic job. So I thought off that comeback for performance that I would single his horse on my ticket. But I can understand you having the one Conquest Artura on top of your ticket.
I did. I had Conquest Artura on top, but I did have Dulce Arabe right there in second. And a quick stat to show you just on Todd Pletcher in the past 5 years for foreign shippers coming onto the turf, 3 for 18 winning, but in the money 50% of the time. $1.07 ROI. So not a positive ROI, but I really liked that 50% of the time in the money. I thought that was really huge, and I ended up putting this horse to finish second, so hopefully she will run and finish in the money. But a very impressive victory off that layoff and her first start in the U.S., as you mentioned. But I did put Conquest Artura on top, who was coming off about a 3.5-month layoff, but showed some early speed last time out, kept some good company, has run integrated stakes before, so it should be improving off a bit of that layoff.
Yeah, she showed that speed in that particular race, trained by Mark Cassidy, Tyler Gaffley, on hand the inside post. And as we mentioned, I singled this horse in my Rainbow Six, but that's just sort of a starting point for when you put your ticket together. Acacia thought she should go 4 deep. I singled in here, and that's the beauty of horse racing. But I can understand the one being on top. We told you all about the 4 Dolce Arabe. I used the 5 Cali Cat in 30, stretching out to a mile and a 16th after rallying to finish third. A solid third against this level of competition going a mile. But I think this is the horse to be there to pick up the pieces if things get dicey on the front end and there's a lot of speed. And we've seen over the last couple of days horses that went up and challenged for the lead on the turf, and the Stalkers closers have been doing very, very well. And that's both on the end of last week and certainly on yesterday's card.
Absolutely, and that's why I also went with the 2 of Fleet Mary to round out my top 3. She was stuck with a outside post last time out and just wasn't able to rally from where she was. But if you look back in some of her previous races, she has run in some stakes. But outside of those, and especially back to her last win, which was a mile and a 16th on the turf back in December, she was one of those good closers and was able to stalk in a field for other races. So she has some versatility, and why I thought she might be able to round out a trifecta.
And just another note, the number 3, Pretty and Sweet, will race with the blinkers on this afternoon. We will go to race number 5, 1 mile and 1/16 on the turf. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, non-winners of 2 in life, claiming level 30,000 down to 25,000, scratching here of number 7, and that is Virgin Morena. And who do you have on top of your ticket? You have the number 3, Lobelia, who I have in second, and I know you had a spotlight or a backtrack you want to show about this horse.
I do. We're going to go back to one of Lobelia's races from March 16th. So this was 2 starts ago. If you look at the break, it's a little bit hard to see with the lamp right there, but she was shuffled back at the start. She wasn't able to really get out at the front, and then she tries to make a move. She's checked again right there. She tries to go outside, and she has to check herself. Her jockey brings her back over. Jeffrey Sanchez was riding that day, and she's there right behind the leaders, and we'll see her positioned nicely in there. And as they round the turn, she starts to make her move, and she drifts a bit in the stretch, but it looks like she's not going to be able to catch. She rallies again, switches leads, goes out to the front, and duels with the other horse right there. She's dueling with She's Dynamite, who would come back and win next time out. She's finally able to pull away. Thought that was a really tough race for Lobelia. She didn't have a perfect trip. She came back and finished a strong second next time out, and I think that she's able to improve off of that and get another win today.
Yeah, that was a good performance, 2 starts back, and as you mentioned, she stretches out to the distance where she broke her maiden, so that's also going to help her this afternoon. But the horse I put on top of my ticket you had in third was the 4, and that is Ty Bolt's Queen. This one beaten a half length at this level and distance right here in February, is making her first start since failing to fire. That was a $50,000 starter allowance here on March 17th. Todd Pletcher, he's solid with this freshening. He's about 24%. He's solid with everything. What I like more about this horse, one of my favorite sires on the turf, it's Shakespeare. So perfectly, I think, spotted for the return, and someone you got to have somewhere on your ticket. Got Lobelia for all the reasons you just shown and everything like that. Now, you also used the number 5 horse in here, and that's Manhattan Moxie.
Yes, and as you mentioned, I rounded out my top 3 with Tybalt's Queen. Must be nice to be Todd Pletcher and say he's solid with everything. It's a pretty good go. But I did use Manhattan Moxie in second, who's going to add the blinkers back. She hasn't run with blinkers since January, and in December she had a couple of starts over there. Took them off for a while as she moved over into the barn of Mikhail Yanikov. She's going to add them back now, and she does have some speed, and I think with those blinkers she'll be even more forwardly placed.
Number 1, Neverly, is dropping into this condition claiming ranks after returning from a layoff to stalk the pace mid-pack. Fate to finish 7th. That was against $25,000 optional claimers at the distance, but Ronnie Werner has been very strong at the meeting. Going into the other day, Wednesday, 4 for 10 at the meeting, 40% win average. Tyler Gaffleone, so lots of things to like about this horse. Actually, 3rd choice on the morning line. Not just this horse, drop down into the condition claiming ranks is going to help this horse.
I think so too, and as you look on the work tab as well, pretty sharp. This one was a bubbler for me, and I can totally understand having her on your ticket.
Well, let's flip the page and go to race number 6, a 1-mile maiden claiming event. 3-year-olds and up, $25,000. And we have 8 runners are going to be in the field with no scratches or jockey changes. And we'd like to remind you each and every day, in just a little while, our track announcer, Pete Aiello, will be up here to update you on all the scratches you need to have a fun day. And we both went with the number 4, and I thought I was being cute in here. Nobody was going to find this horse, and Acacia's got it right on top.
Yeah, Honor Commitment is making his 2nd start, debuted back on April 23rd, adds the blinkers for the first time now, and is also dropping from the maiden special weight into the maiden claiming ranks.
What I liked about this horse, if you look at the past performances in this race, he's the only horse in the field to run on the main track in his last start. He's going to wear those blinkers, as you mentioned. He finished 4th behind a really impressive winner, 11.5-length winner called Eel, with EEL, and you'll see that horse's name cursed through all the past performances over the next couple of days. A lot of horses come out of the race. He was very impressive. Dave Brady, MCL Jaramillo named to ride, and I just thought this horse's performance on the main track, where everybody else in the race is coming off the turf, might be the reason he would win in here today. And I guess you did too. Number 8, you have in second.
I do. I have in number 8, Wonder Frolic in second. Has apprentice rider John Cruz aboard, moving over from the turf to the dirt. As you mentioned, Honor Commitment's the only one that's actually been on the main track in his last start. Several horses in here moving over from the turf. In fact, all of them except for Honor Commitment. But Wonder Frolic, the last 4 starts were on the turf, moving back over to the dirt. Couple of dirt starts in the beginning, but this horse does have some speed and should set a good trip from the outside post.
And we both used number 5, Swing Hard, who's turning back to a 1-turn mile on the dirt after showing improved speed when blinkers were added for his recent outing, going 1 mile in the 16th on the turf. This is a $280,000 son of hard spun. He can get brave on or near the front end.
Absolutely, and he's a full brother to a stakes winner, Sweet 17, hard spun, and the St. Bellato mare, Play Bellato. 2 starts so far, should improve again.
Number 1, Sir Magoo, is going to the main track for the first time after hitting the board in 1 of 3 turf races at the $25,000 level. The trainer is Gustavo Delgado, and he's got Edgar Zayas handling the surface switch this afternoon. So a lot of guesswork to do in here, and both of us ended up on the number 4 here. But lots of different ways to go here. I love trying to figure out that race with most of the horses being on the grass. Our 7th race this afternoon, 6.5 furlongs, allowance, optional claimer, fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up. Jockey change on the 3, make the rider Edgar Zayas. And I know this is the horse you singled on your ticket, Cult Classic. Let's follow his last race. Well, it's the last race, but this is a race in June 15th. And what I wanted to show you here, this was a very impressive performance here. You will see this horse, Cult Classic. He enters the final turn and everything like that, and he runs pretty good in this race. And he was really, really wide here. You'll see him coming into the turn, and I just thought he ran well. He went up to Saratoga. He didn't fare as well. They were very, very promising. You'll see him here running in the stretch. He's coming back. The 4-year-old is training exceptionally well in here. He broke his maiden at Gulfstream Park West on November 2nd, and he went right into this race. And I just thought off that performance, went up to Saratoga. He's been on the shelf since then, that he's going to run well in here.
Yeah, coming off about a 9-month layoff, and you know what they say about Saratoga, it's the graveyard of champions, so he's in good company there, getting beat up at Saratoga, or she, excuse me. But if you cross out that Saratoga race, 2 very solid performances performances at Gulfstream Park West and here at Gulfstream.
Yeah, and she was well met. After that debut at Gulfstream Park West, she was the talk of the town, and ran okay in her second start, even though she had to go wide in there, and thus we both putting her on top of the ticket. But the morning line favorite and the horse you have in second is the number 7, and that is Diamond Earring.
Yes, Diamond Earring, a $100,000 two-year-old purchase. It also adds blinkers for the first time today. Broke her maiden in her debut back in April of 2015, and then has had some trouble finding the winner's circle once again, but comes off a very impressive race. The most recent start, 7 furlongs here at Gulfstream on March 31st, finished a solid second, beaten just by a length and a half.
Yeah, trained by Kathy Ritvo and ridden today by Matthew Rispoli. So on paper, I can understand it being the morning line favorite. I'm expecting this horse to run very, very well in there. And we both used the number 3 on our ticket, and that is Tripoca, I think it's pronounced.
Yes, Tripoca coming off a 13-month layoff, ran 3 times at the beginning of her career. Also started in the Grade 2 Forward Gal. She has kept some good company there. Of course, that race was won by Bird at the Wire. She then ran February 8th of 2015, wasn't seen again until March 31st. So when she came off that 13-month layoff, she won by 5.5 lengths. So really impressive off the layoff. And sometimes they might bounce a little bit, and you don't know what can happen there. But such an impressive victory coming off such a long layoff.
Yeah, and I mean, I think she's in a good spot this afternoon, trained by Gustavo Delgado. And as we mentioned, we'll have Edgar Zayas in the saddle. That is that jockey change we just told you about. Our final race on this Thursday afternoon card, 1 mile on the turf. Maiden, these are maiden claimers, 3 and up, $50,000. We do have a jockey change and a scratch to report. The jockey change comes on the 2, make the runner Jose Caraballo, and scratch the number 7, Visky Jones. And the horse that you have on top will start there, and that is the number 10, Unintimidated.
Yes, I have Unintimidated on top. There's a couple different angles to look at with this horse. A $230,000 purchase, ran 3 times, 6.5 furlongs, 7 furlongs, and then a mile, stretching out. So now going to stick with the mile, but it's going to move over from the dirt to the turf, and is also dropping from maiden special weight to maiden claiming. So a lot going on there. And who knows if it's just kind of throwing in the kitchen sink, but it could be just the right amount of changes there for him. David Fox is the trainer. Eddie Castro will climb aboard.
Yeah, and it's not that you're not going to see on the board, but I went back and looked. David Fox is 2 for 14, only 14%, but he's got over a $3 return of investment with the horses going from dirt to turf, maiden special weight to maiden claiming. But the horse I had on top of my ticket, and you had in second, was Senor Casanova, who's dropping to the $50,000 level, going back to the turf after returning from a 10-month layoff to track the pace and finish fading 5th against maiden special weight competition, going 1 mile and 1/16 on the main track. So we're going to show you a stat that we do have up there from Christophe Clement, who's the trainer over the last 5 years, dirt to turf, maiden special weight to maiden claiming. Limited sampling, but what a good sampling. 3 for 7, 43%, 57% in the money with a almost $4.50 return of investment. So that drop, which he doesn't do a lot, maiden special weight to maiden claiming, has been a good angle for Christophe Clement. And I just thought this horse, the connections with that stat, I put him on top of the ticket, but maybe an exacta box is the way to go with our top 2. Now, how'd you end it?
And I rounded it out with the 5, U.S. Academy, who was a really interesting one to me. 5-1 on the morning line. Has raced only once before, but showed a lot of early speed with Tyler Gaffalione aboard, who's going to stay aboard. Ralph Nix trains. He ran a mile on the turf in his debut and finished pretty solidly. Weakened a bit, though, did again show that early speed. Going to try a second start, has some experience under his belt now, going to stick a mile on the turf.
I closed it out with 6, looking forever, is looking for more like a win. It's looking more and more like a winner is what I was trying to say. After rallying to finish second against 35.
Looking like something.
The 35 maidens going a mile on the grass last time out. Pretty nice performance, and this horse is getting better and better as his races improve. So number 6, looking forever on the board right there. I think he's 6-1 on the morning line, 4th choice. So don't forget, in the last race, we will have one of those rolling super high 5, so pay attention to those throughout the afternoon. And we also have our early pick 5, late pick 5 tickets, and I have my Rainbow 6 tickets, so it should be a fun day.
It should be. Only 8 races today. Seems pretty easy, huh?
We'll see about that. We'll let you know about that tomorrow, how good we did or how bad we did.